And
Hi,
we're
welcome
live.
everybody. Welcome to the Albuquerque Human Rights Board meeting. We're glad to have y'all here. We will start. Let me get my agenda here. Call the meeting to order at 5:08. We will do a roll call to establish the board members in the room. So I'm Adrian Lawyer. I'm the chair of the board. Go ahead, Beck.
Good evening, Beckham Rivera.
And Leticia.
Good evening, Leticia Trujillo.
And Denisha.
Denisha Pierre. Hello.
Great. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm sure all of the members had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All right, hearing none, the minutes are approved as written. And let's approve the agenda for tonight. Are there any corrections or additions to the agenda? Okay, great. The agenda is approved as written. All right, so our next item on the agenda for this evening is public comment. Do we have anybody here with us tonight who wishes to make comment to the board?
I was not contacted prior to the meeting, and I'm not seeing any of our attendees with their hands up.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Rivera, did you want to add anything here?
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the verdict that had been read today with regard to the trial of Derek Chauvin for the death of George Floyd. And I wanted to take a moment to, acknowledge this as a moment of some procedural justice, not full justice, as George Floyd is not here with us. But it is my hope that this is a step in the right direction. And I wish their family grace and peace. And we are not done yet. Minnesota is not done yet. We have a lot of work to do. But today reinforced some trust for me with regard to the judicial system and faith that we can rise above and continue on with our work to help foster an environment in the United States free of racism. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those words. Would any of our other members like to make any comment on that verdict? Member Pierre.
Thank you. Wow, what a time we're in where we see a whole video of a man being like, and it's just like, it's very re-traumatizing to see it over and over and over again, like the same one or a different person doing the same thing. But what a time to think about the justice system and the legal system, and how there was the trial was what, 3 weeks long, 2 weeks long. It was a very long trial, and all to re-traumatize the people who were there, all to basically go second by second of this 9+ minute video that we all clearly saw what happened. And so I don't know. I'm an attorney, and I always think it's interesting how our trial and justice system works here in the United States. But I echo Beck's sentiment in that today we are taking a step in the right direction. And so, it's a positive, it's very much going in a positive direction, but we still do have a lot of work to do, not only to heal ourselves, but to create a better environment for everybody. We're all stuck here on this piece of the planet, so we all have to get along with one another. And so, just I'm just happy that today it could have gone a different way, and it didn't. And so I'm happy with, at least taking it, if not just a small step in the right direction.
Thank you. I hope that's true. I so hope that's true. It's gone the other way so many, many times, and so rarely has it ever come out this way. And I hope so much that that's an indicator and not an outlier. I hope it so much, so much. I really appreciate y'all bringing this to the table tonight so that we could pause and reflect on this. It all just happened. I know it's on the top of most people's minds who are here with us tonight. So really appreciate us taking the space. Member Trujillo, do you want to add anything before we move on?
Yes, thank you. My deepest continued condolences to the family and to those affected, which were many of us, by this traumatic event, or that took place here in our country. It was devastating, to say the least. And I hope and I pray with my whole heart that this is a step in the right direction for us as a nation, and also for the family to begin their healing. Thank you.
Hi, welcome, Member Assed. We're just I'm sorry, you're on mute. Were you saying something? Okay, we were just the members had all just sort of made a personal comment about the Chauvin verdict, the verdict in the George Floyd trial. Did you want to make any remarks about it? Unmute so we can hear you though.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I was just with a group of Black activists. We were ready to actually protest if it wasn't the verdict that we wanted. And what a sigh of relief! Really, what a sigh of relief! Thank God justice was served, and we look forward for more openness in different courts and different cases. So justice will be served as well. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. All right, the next item on our agenda is the investigation, review, and determination in matter 20008 and 20009.
So, Chair, Lawyer, if you remember, we have to move into closed session for the investigation reviews, and you and the board members have to make a motion to move into closed session. And then you should have received a separate Zoom link for our closed session. And I believe it's the board members and myself. I don't remember if Mr. Rowland joins us or not. And then Ms. Velarde, if she's able to.
And I'm sorry that I didn't say this before, but can we then move these items to the end or no?
You absolutely can reorder the agenda if you want to.
Well, do we
Yeah.
have folks here? Do we have attendees off screen?
We do.
It'll be hard for them to figure out when we're gonna go and when we're coming back. So I hate for them to be left hanging like that.
You still
Yeah.
have to come back though, even if the attendees have left. You have to return to the main meeting.
That sounds great, but I'd love to respect their time by just letting them then off the hook when we move in to the closed. Then they'll know that they can go and we'll come back anyway. I think if that's okay, if that's procedurally okay, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, that procedurally, that would be fine.
Okay, do I need a motion to move the agenda items?
No, since it's still going to be on, it's still part of the agenda. It doesn't have to go in a specific order.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Well, let's move to the director's reports. We'll start with the Office of Civil Rights.
Okay, I need about 30 seconds. I had my investigation report
Okay,
open
I'm
and
sorry.
not my board.
Do you want me to go to Michelle?
Yes, please. That
Okay,
would be great.
Great. Okay,
Sorry,
great.
Tori.
Oh, this is all good. I'm sorry, Tori. I'm sorry, Tori. Okay, let's move to the OCR report.
OCR or OEI?
I'm sorry, OEI.
Okay.
OEI.
Sorry. Okay. I don't have a written report. Sorry, I'm always right behind the 8 ball, just not quite together. But yeah, thank you all for really marking this moment in time that we all hope is a change. I was also on alert in case it went the other way and things would have been very, very different across our country. Some of the things that our office has been working on this past month since we last spoke has included continuing to stay in touch with the Black New Mexico movement, among other organizers. And there was a huge outpouring of support for Black lives a couple of weekends ago when there was a White Lives Matter event planned. Turned out that hardly anybody, maybe only one person from White Lives Matter showed up. He didn't look like a Proud Boy, but he was carrying a rifle. So he was cited, you probably saw this in the news, for endangering the children that he brought with him. So that had us all on edge, you know, leading up to this trial. There's just a lot of tension about what different factions would do. I think last time we spoke, I told you about the many interviews that we did for the African American Affairs liaison position. So we have made our selection, and the new person, her name is Nicole Rogers. She starts on Monday. So I'm very excited about that. We'll be putting out a press release, and I hope that all of you are now receiving our newsletter. That'll be another way for you to get little bits of news about what's happening in our office. If you're not, please let me know in the chat and I'll make sure you're on that distribution list. And Nicole is very, very excited about starting and is already planning the Juneteenth events with community members this summer. The other big things that happened this month were, as we all saw across the country, the anti-Asian hate crimes, and in our own city, a lot of outpouring of support for members of the Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. So we had a rally on Civic Plaza a few weeks ago, and that was led and organized by City Councilor Lan Sena. And I think more than 150 people showed up. So that was just a great sign. And then there was a really nice one that UNM put together that we co-sponsored. That was just, I think, a week ago. Councilor Sena has introduced some legislation and that really denounces anti-Asian and Pacific Islander hate and hate crimes and bigotry, and calls on our city to do more, to provide language access and to make our city a more welcoming environment for all people from all different backgrounds. And there is some legislation funding that is going to be attached that really goes towards Asian American and Pacific Islander youth. So it's not quite finalized yet, but it's beginning to be introduced, and next month is Asian American Heritage Month. And so you'll see a lot of that activity happening in early May. We also had the opportunity to work very closely with our New Mexico Department of Health and our city's Emergency Operations Center to help the DOH decide where to put a mobile vaccination clinic. It's a tent that FEMA travels around the country, and it stays in one place for about 5 days, and it allows for walk-ups. So people who don't necessarily have access to computers or haven't signed up on the website can just walk up. It also sends notifications to people who have signed up and who live in that area so that they could take advantage of that very convenient location. So we gave them 8 locations using our social vulnerability index map, but also our own knowledge of where people live that are in vulnerable populations. So there were 2 sites in the South Valley. They're still in the South Valley right now. This is the 2nd week. They're at Westside Community Center right now, and their hours are like 12 to 7 p.m. and on Saturdays as well. That way you can catch working people who haven't been able to make it to other clinics. And then it's going to Cesar Chavez Community Center, and it's going to a city-owned lot behind the 99 Bond Market on Gibson. And then maybe the Southeast Heights Health Office, or a location up on Singing Arrow, up in the far east central area to really help reach the refugee population. There's a lot of apartment complexes up there where refugee families live. So we were really glad that DOH took our advice on where to put this unit, and now we're helping them with all of the language translations. So they're doing pretty good in English and Spanish, but we're helping them get all of the outreach materials into Vietnamese, Swahili, Dari, Arabic, at the very least. And let's see, all of that translation work and outreach work really points to the need for us to have a permanent immigrant and refugee affairs coordinator. We've been kind of in limbo for almost a year while our existing coordinator is on a special assignment. So we're looking forward to being able to hire a permanent immigrant and refugee affairs coordinator. We have a contractor in that position now, and he's doing a great job, but look for an announcement coming out soon about hiring a permanent immigrant and refugee affairs coordinator. And another reason why that's so urgent is we're getting ready to start receiving asylum seekers from the southern border again, just like we did 2 years ago. So we've been in close touch with the State Department of Homeland Security and with our city's Emergency Operations Center and with a group of nonprofits and faith leader groups that are organizing to be able to host and receive those asylum seekers. And so when it happens, the city will probably pay for a hotel and pay for food to be delivered to that hotel, much like is happening right now for COVID reasons for people who are unsheltered. And this hotel would be dedicated to asylum seekers. And then the community members would be the ones who staff that hotel and help the asylum seekers make their travel arrangements to go wherever it is they're going in different parts of the country. And we're applying for a federal grant to help recoup the costs of doing that. Last time, Trump administration didn't make that kind of help available, so it was all privately funded. This time, the Biden administration is making emergency funding available to cities and nonprofits. So we attended a meeting to learn about how to apply for that grant. This week, today, as a matter of fact, I submitted a $4 million grant to the federal government for an equitable approach to COVID health literacy. And if we get this, then we'll turn around and fund 8 community-based organizations and small community clinics to do really intensive health education in multiple languages, knowing that things will evolve with COVID. people will need a booster shot. We don't know what will happen with the disease. And so there's going to be a need for health education going forward. And so fingers crossed that we get this $4 million, and then the vast majority of it, 1.8 million per year, will go to the community, and the city will only keep a small portion for administering this grant. Two last things. One, the National Park Service issued its findings with regard to the tasing of a Navajo and Oneida man at Petroglyph National Monument. And they said that the tasing was within policy. And so they also said in their statement that they're working with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at the city, which doesn't exist. That's not the name of our office, to provide training. So I've let our Office of Native American Affairs know to notify them that, you know, they shouldn't drop our name if we haven't actually been in contact. And, you know, we're not working with them right now. If they want to approach us, then we would be happy to talk with them about what kind of training. I guess they're talking about some kind of a cultural sensitivity training. But if that were to come to pass, we would definitely start getting involved. The Pueblos, the All Pueblo Council of Governors, and the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission, with whom the Office of Civil Rights and you, this body, has an MOU to address issues affecting Navajo people. And then the last thing is more good news. The state legislature appropriated $75,000 for a mentorship program called It Takes a Village. And this is centered on African-American youth. And so Scott Carruthers, who's been instrumental in helping us set up our African American Affairs office, will stay on. Even when this new liaison takes the new job on Monday, Scott will stay on to help develop this new program and administer it with lots of community organizations that are doing mentorship for Black youth. So I'll have more news on what that looks like when the funds start to flow in July. And that's my report. So thank you.
That's so cool. I wish it was more money, you know, for that program. Some is good, but that's, you know, that could be a lot bigger than 75, I think, to do. That's a lot of work to tackle.
Yeah, we heard that there's money that could be accessed through CYFD. So we haven't explored all of the sources, and that way it's in the general fund and we don't have to apply for it. This was a special appropriation sponsored by Representative Cheryl Williams Stapleton and Senator Harold Pope out of their discretionary, I think. So yeah, we're definitely going to look at how to get that into the general fund and make it recurring for the future.
That's great. Really great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. We appreciate it. Do any members have any questions or comments?
Yes,
for
I
Michelle?
do.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Michelle, for that wonderful report. There's a lot of good activities, and thank you for the grants. We're all welcoming of any funding that comes in. I would like to acknowledge that the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice was the first to put on an Asian vigil. The post-Atlanta shootings, addressing hate crimes against the Asian community. And it was a heartfelt space. There was many Asian communities, but not enough. So I'm glad to hear the numbers were bigger, and we need to make sure we create safe platforms for the Asian American community to come out. There's a lot of anxiety and fear, quite frankly. It's wonderful to hear that. Thank you.
Great. Any other members? Questions or comments on the OEI report? Awesome. Well, thank you, Michelle. We really appreciate it. Always, always. All right, now can we have the OCR report?
It's funny turning on my camera and I'm like, whoa, I look like that.
I'm so tired of looking at myself on the TV every day. I can't even tell y'all. I'll be so happy when we're not always looking at ourselves.
I know. Yeah, you don't realize how uncomfortable it makes you until you do it, 8 hours a day. Okay, so I submitted my report to you all in writing in advance. I'm gonna skim through it really quick and then give you all an opportunity to let me know if you have any specific questions. We had about 29 new intakes in the last month since we talked to you. That is, I think that feels a little higher than usual, but we ebb and flow, so I'm sure April's gonna be a little quieter. We have 2 active complaints right now. And then we have a third one that's under plans complaints that Crystal is meeting with that complainant to get everything signed. Everything's ready. We just need to get it signed and in the mail. And then as far as outreach, I've continued my ongoing work. We held I sat on a panel hosted by Member said regarding the state of Black women. And then the next week, she sat on a panel that our office co-sponsored called Women of Color Redefining New Mexico. So it's been really a wonderful opportunity to get to work with Samia twice in the month. It was very fulfilling, and I'm glad we had an opportunity to do that. And then also in March, I worked with Member Beck, and we spoke at UNM in the Gender Identity, Sexual Orientation, and the Law seminar. And I think that was also a very enjoyable opportunity. I learned so much when I talk to law students because they see the world quite differently than us who are all hardened by real world. And then other than that, just more presentations, high schoolers, community groups, panel discussions. And so it's been a busy month, but not too terribly busy. And then in just sort of general updates, the governor signed the 2 bills that advocated for non-discrimination regarding hair. There's a Senate bill and a House bill, if you may remember. It's unusual that she signed both, but how celebratory for us. And the National Crown Act Coalition asked that we not call ours Crown Act because they felt like it went beyond the scope of the Crown Act. We're okay with that. Our law is the most inclusive in the nation. It covers more groups than any other, and that was our intent. And so they don't want to be a part of that. That's okay. They have their lane, and unfortunately we deviated outside of it, but it works for us. And then you have, there are 2 matters pending for you all that we'll talk about in our breakout session. There's an update to one, but I will hold that update until we are broken out. Any questions or thoughts?
I just want to tell you what an honor it was to work with you on both occasions and how empowered I was by such brilliant Black activists and Black leaders, Black trailblazers. And it was just really heartwarming. Thank you for the opportunity to share space with you. And I look forward to growing with you and doing more of it, for sure.
Yes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with you as well. And I neglected to say that the panel that Samia sat on was so well received. We are going to try and do a part 2 because we didn't have enough time for these fabulous women to tell their stories, and we need more time to do that.
That was a great panel. I got to sit in, attend that. It was great. And you both were great. I had a question really quickly about the types of cases that were memorialized in this report. I see that there was 10 regarding housing. And so I was curious if you're seeing any upward trend or uptick in cases regarding housing.
Not an upward trend. Housing is almost always our highest group where we get complaints. And it's not broken out here. You can't see it, but Some of those will be discrimination matters. Some of those are other landlord tenant issues where people contact us and don't know who else to contact. So in that second group, what we do is we have resources that we can provide them to point them in the right direction to help things be resolved. But across the board, housing with the disability intersection is our biggest category most of the time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments for Tori?
Well, thank you.
That's some awesome stuff. I always love the outreach stuff. It's so great. You're doing so many cool things. It's really great to hear about.
Thank you. That's I love the opportunity to do the outreach. I'm very lucky.
It's really impressive getting it out there. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the discussion of the board staff and budget. And really, member Assed was the one who, oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I think member Trujillo had a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad.
Actually, no, it was more, thank you, Tori. It was actually I wanted just to make a comment, Tori, and just say thank you so much for all of the outreach work that you're doing. I think it's incredible work. And I wanted to also just mention, I see that, you were at West Mesa High School and doing some work in our district, which is, near and dear to my heart since I work with the homeless student population that we have. And I think that to just have for our students to have these opportunities for these types of just a space for them, to just have a space for them to be able to feel safe and empowered and transparent, and especially during these times we're in. I really truly appreciate the work that you're doing, and our board members for the work that they're doing in terms of outreach. That is work that is beyond what the words I can express in gratitude. So thank you so much to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I tell any member, any board member here, including Mr. Trujillo, member Trujillo, I will be there for any event you need me to support you in an uplift community. Just let me know.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
And same for me. I've really, part of my favorite presentations are actually with school age children, school age middle school or high school, and each audience has different challenges and different joys. And so if you have classes or groups that you think could benefit from a conversation, please let me know and we can make it happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. So we'll move on to the staffing and budget discussion, which is led by member Assed. So do you want to share your thoughts or perspective on that with the group? Member Assed.
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear you.
This is the budget staffing item.
I did not look at it. I'm so sorry.
We've had this on the agenda because you wanted to talk about, I think, the idea that the group needed a budget or a staff person, and we've been.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand.
Agenda item over.
Okay. No, well, if you must know, I was running for a certain position, and it is Ramadan. So, and I took a COVID vaccine. So please don't mind my my unattentiveness as far as this subject. But as far as the board and the Human Rights Board, I think it's extremely important for us to have capacity to better serve the community. I, for one, would like to see a staff person and more budgeting, more finances towards the board For instance, for a campaign I would like to do more work on, one of the resolutions we approved about the United Nations sustainable goals in regards to children. And I would like to do more research. I want to do a town hall. And these kind of events mandate that we have some legal expertise and some more work done. And I just think that having the opportunity to have accessibility to staff just is much smoother for us, and we can do a lot more for the community. And I will, while I'm saying this, I recognize that the staff, the Office of Civil Rights, the Office of Equity and Inclusion have been extremely helpful. But it just gives a different presence for us as a board if we had our own autonomy in doing the work, just to pick up the phone and be able to do what we have to do to move forward. I in many ways feel crippled in my capacity on this board, because I think I have to weigh in everybody else's job before I can ask them or burden anybody to do more. And I think it's totally appropriate. And in our mission, it's mandated for us to have it. It's okay for us to have it. I think it's totally appropriate, and it is our right to have it. So this is my position, and I hope we can have a further discussion on that.
Now is the time that's allocated for that exact thing. What thoughts or questions or observations do other members have? Member Pierre.
Thank you. So, Member Ostead, so what is the budget for? I guess I'm so new, so I'm just trying to understand, like, maybe what the budget would be used for, as far as like, are we hiring someone, or I don't know. I guess I just want to know more about what your thoughts are as far as having a budget.
In the ordinance, it says we are allowed to have a staff and finance budgeting for us to move forward in anything, any activity, any piece of legislation we want to work on. That is allotted to us. In this case, expenses would go for staff that would be at our call for anything we want to work on and anything our community asks us to work on. There have been multiple events where, quite frankly, I've been shamed in the community as an activist, and people have told me I'm not serious in my role on the Human Rights Board. And it's disheartening, because I don't like to share a space unless I'm doing at least my full capacity. And I know the mayor and the Office of Equity and Inclusion and the Office of Civil Rights recognizes that responsibility that weighs on our shoulders. I just want to be true to the position and be able to do a lot more work, whether it is on police reform, whether it is on homelessness. And like I said, one of the biggest things I really want to concentrate on is the rights of the child, as far as the sustainable goals of the United Nations within the city. It's educational, it's understanding what's on the books. You need a staff member, because not all of us have legal expertise, and not all of us have the time to do it. It should be allotted to us to have more of an agency to, and really call it a staff that is specifically for us. I think we need to establish that for our Human Rights Board to be taken seriously. Does that answer your question?
It does. I'm just wondering, are we trying to hire like an attorney, or like a person, like a...
It could be an attorney. It could be an agreement with a lab or a group from UNM Law School. There's ways of doing things that can be productive to the community, but still have the job done. Because when you want to do resolutions and then take it to have anything passed by law through city council, it's a process. and it's time consuming, and you want to make sure you do it right. And I firmly believe I'm very appreciative of the space that we've had already and the knowledge that I've learned. But from, like I said, the pressure that I've had on me to have this happen, I think it's imperative that we make it happen. The community wants us to be serious about this. And I think that's actually what's driving me. The community is actually wanting us to be more serious about our position, and why are we not asking for what is rightfully ours in the capacity of a human rights board? I think that's legitimate, and it's something serious for us to consider. Thank you.
I know that Member Trujillo and Member Rivera had something to say, but Member Pierre, I didn't want to cut you off. Can we? Okay, Member Trujillo, go ahead.
So a quick question. Thank you, Chair Lawyer, and thank you, Board Member Asid. So quick question, where would this, maybe I missed it, where would the allocation, this funding be come from?
City.
The city. So
Yes.
so a portion, advocate for that, a portion that the allocation, the funding that we have through the city for a position, a paid position for
Yes.
our Human Rights Board. Gotcha.
Yes,
Thank
and like I said, we can get creative. We can establish relationships with the UNM Law School. We can have students. I mean, this can be a really great opportunity to grow this platform. And I'm open for discussion on that, but definitely want to give us the resources that we need to do the job that we have to do legitimately in the eyes of the community.
And perhaps even a paid internship for.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Member Rivera.
Yes, hello, this is Member Rivera. I had two questions. First, as someone that's newer to the board, I'm curious of what opportunities may have been missed already because we don't have this staff person or intern.
I think it has taken away our serious grievances as far as police behavior, holding police accountable. In an era, we just saw George Floyd a murderer held accountable. I mean, the country is looking at us and how we take these accounts seriously. And there are other issues, like I said, the homelessness issue was one that was brought to my mind. There are a few members that complained to me, and the members that complained to me were experts in the law, and I couldn't negate anything. So I just felt like about this small. So there is responsibility. There's a few missed opportunities, but if we can do it, we can build on the information, and these issues unfortunately still surround us. So they exist in our community, and we can move forward. There's no reason why we can't even grow and learn from past and do right by these issues.
I think the question that I have remains the same question that I've had all along, though, which is that this is a volunteer board with set terms so that the group continues to change every year. We all work full-time jobs and have families and things. Like, what, even if we had one paid staffer, what is it the community thinks that this group can do about police violence in Albuquerque or homelessness? How are the five of us going to solve that even with one paid staffer? I mean, I don't.
Our job is to inform and educate and bring light to issues. We can't change law. We can advocate for law.
Okay.
And if we are volunteers and we've signed up for this board, and it's our responsibility. It doesn't matter what job role we play outside of this board. The staff person will be able to help us, and it has to be somebody that we can call and work on paperwork, on legalities, and give us information, do the research for us, even research for issue-based items. I mean, when you want to talk about racism, when you want to talk about police brutality, you can't go to city council without doing extensive research and bringing the data. These are real issues like you said, we are a volunteer board. We are busy. Hence, we do need the resources. That's exactly why we need it. And again, our role is to advise. We give recommendations. We can't change the law. We've done our job when we give recommendations, and the recommendations, when they're done efficiently and precisely correct in data and information, then it's on the city council, it's on them to make their decision. We've done our job. And that's the responsibility we share.
So, and then the other question that I have had all along is, by what process are we going to get this money? What do we as a group do? If we all agree that we need this, then what is our next step to try to get it? Because that is also going to be a long and involved process.
I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be administratively. It shouldn't be a long process, and nothing should hinder it, because we've been asking for this for a while. But I would imagine that would entail us meeting with the mayor and Tori, perhaps can guide us on this, and as well as Michelle, and let us know what the process is, so we can have a serious discussion with the mayor. And if we have to take it to city council will have to vote on the budget, and we will have to go in front of city council to present this case. And I'm willing to go. Tori and Michelle, if you could add some statements, please.
Ms. Melendez isn't here any longer. The budget process is happening right now, so you may have missed an opportunity until next year. It's happening right now for next fiscal year, which starts July 1. Any request for additional funding would have to go ultimately to the mayor and the chief administrative officer. If you wanted to send the request through city legal to city attorney Aguilar, that also would be appropriate. This is unusual, so I don't know the exact right process. I can just tell you what I think feels most appropriate as first steps.
And are there examples of other appointed boards like this that have that type of funding or staffing?
I don't believe so. I believe the only one that has something similar to what Member Assad is asking is the Police Oversight Agency.
Mm-hmm.
And their director, I believe, is appointed by the mayor. And their work serves to review the investigations that their director brings to them. So similar, but only devoted to the police department.
And that's specifically why we need to have our own staff and our budget that actually gives more merit to us to advocate for community. Ms. Torres, does the chair send in a request, or do we ask you to send? What's the process for us to do right now? What's the next step? Because they're budgeting right now, I think we should do this ASAP. Do we call for a meeting with the mayor and Mr. Aguilar, or?
Attorney Rowland, did you have something to add? I noticed you came off mute.
Yeah, I was going to basically say the same thing you did, but I'm not exactly sure. My understanding, I think it might be too late from a budget perspective, but certainly we can check on it.
Well, if they're still doing the budgeting, why would it be too late?
Oh no, I'm just saying, just anecdotally, they may be done. I'm not trying to offer an opinion one way or the other on it. I'm sorry. I'm not sure of what the process would be, and I can reach out to my bosses and see if anybody has any concepts or ideas on it as well. The other option I was going to throw out there is, I know from working at UNM in their in the different I think you would refer to it as labs, but they have legal clinics there. That there's certain memorandums of understanding. I worked in the Indian Law Clinic, and we had lots of MOUs set up with the various tribal governments across the state to work with them on developing internal legislation and internal policies and procedures for setting up courts and creating or drafting legislation to take to their particular tribal entities or councils. And so that might be an opportunity working with one of the clinics, maybe, where it would be, there wouldn't be a budget required for it, but there would be some work that would need to be done to develop a relationship, develop a memorandum of understanding, and then the board really doing some work to lay down some guidelines of what they're actually looking for. Like I said, I'm sure that the clinics would be looking for that, to have very clear ideas of what the students would be expected to do or work on. But that's just an idea that I had just listening to the conversation.
Thank you for that information, but the ordinance is very clear. We have a right to staff and budget, and I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I think the law clinics are a great idea. But I also think the mayor should be approached. It's only fair to him to have an opportunity to fund this board, and I know he takes this very seriously. And to the public eye, the perception of him investing into a board would look very, very good. I also think it's the right thing to do. So I will consult with the rest of the board and the chair after the meeting, if that's okay. We can go in executive session on this and talk about this later on. I'm open for any suggestions on this.
I don't think we can do it closed door. It has to be on the agenda and talked about in the public session, I think.
Okay, then I believe that we should approach the mayor, and a team of us can also talk to UNM Law School.
Member Pierre.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the ordinance now. I don't see where we have that sort of a power. I mean, we have the power to hold hearings, make investigations, recommend to the city council and mayor, and yeah, basically to hold hearings and proceedings. But it doesn't really say, at least not explicitly and not from my reading of it, how we have the power to have a basically hired help. Because even in our powers and duties, it says things like conduct programs of research and conduct programs of information and work in close cooperation. But it sounds like those are things that we should be doing and not what we hire out to do. So I guess I just really don't have the understanding of what we would be hiring a person to do if what we're doing in our power, or what's in our powers and duties under the ordinance, are the things that we as the board should be doing. And I'm not, I think that this is a good idea if we can figure out like a solid way to use it, or if we're even able to, because like I said, I'm looking at the ordinance. I don't see where it says that.
I saw Member Rivera first, and then I'll come to Member Trujillo.
So I know that part of the discussion of last meeting, or maybe something that was on the table and taken off, was subcommittees. And so maybe this is something that could be flushed out a little bit more in a subcommittee. Of course, it would be, no more than 3 members working on that. But I think a solid proposal, with defined areas as to what this person can be working on, will help us better articulate to the mayor or to whomever within the city, justifying why we need this person and what this person will be working on. because what I'm hearing right now kind of sounds like an on-call person. When we have an issue, we have this person to do the research or type the things up, and I'm not certain either way if that will be accepted. I think a defined role with defined tasks may put us in a better position.
And member
Thank you.
Tricky.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So last board meeting, we discussed the possibility of a survey.
That's right.
And I think that potentially this could be something that we could survey our community about. I know that right now, due to budget, there's an urgency. If for any reason it doesn't pan out for this budget, to get this on advocate for this, to get that paid staff member on this during this budget session, then maybe we could certainly do a survey to the community and see what their ideas are. If they want to have a paid member, what would that look like? If what would this be, an 8 to 5 person? What kind of position would these, this individual who's in a paid position, what would that look like? Would it be part-time? Would it be full-time? And so on and so forth. So maybe this is something, board member Asit, that maybe you'd be open to surveying our community about. I don't know, it's just an idea.
No, it's a great idea, and I love to always take community input, and that's one of the reasons I'm advocating for this and pushing for it. It is actually community who's pointed out what the ordinance is and what rights we have, and has pushed for the last 2 years for us to do this. So I feel the delay only hurts the community, and I think if we're serious about doing human rights, you need to have the resources to do it, and those are the resources. You sit down on the human rights. We meet every 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever time we have. Everybody's busy. It's not easy to do an investigation, especially if you don't have the skills, if you're not an attorney, if you don't know the system. And we still, even if we had a team, we still have to put in time to do the research and show up in front of city council, do community events, hold town halls. You do a lot. If you're serious about doing or your work on the board, you have to understand that the work that is demanded for us, you can't fly on this work. I mean, you really got to know yourself. You can't go into places and spaces, especially city council, and have things shut down because you didn't know your information. Or if you're trying to advocate for certain things, city council rejects it because guess what? We didn't know what we had to do, or we missed something. They're legal professionals for a reason. And actually the ordinance does allow us, and I'll send you some more information via email on that. I'm in my car and I don't have access to my email on this phone, but the seriousness of this demand is it's not something I take lightly, because I understand budgets, I understand the city, I understand we're in post-COVID, but I also know the tension outside and the real problems, whether it's any community attack or community needs. We have to do our job. That's all there is to it. And this is what's going to help us.
So I guess I'm not sure where this leaves us right now. I don't know what our next steps would be from a group point of view. The whole group, from the whole group's point of view.
Well, I think I would suggest that we call for a meeting with a representative of the mayor or with the mayor himself within what's today, Tuesday, within a week. Just a brief meeting, and they'll let us know what we need to do. And I will also reach out to community to see if they'd be willing to help out with the survey. I think it's necessary, but I mean, the survey, people have been telling us what to do. It's just repetitive, and people are going to look at it as we're wasting time. And then UNM Law School, I can reach out to people there. But first, the city. We need to talk to the city, to the mayor.
Member Trujillo.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And so I think that community input is very important. And I also think that the data is very important. So although I mean, it would be a survey that wouldn't, of course, drag on because we don't have time for that.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
so we would have to be very intentional about the survey and very efficient with that process so that we can have our data. And I personally always like to have my data in hand when approaching, even in this case, like approaching the mayor. You know, or anybody that we're going to meet with, have that data in hand and say, this is just in a quick survey that we did. This is the feedback that we received. This is what our community is asking for. So then moving forward from there.
I really thank you for that. And I'm sorry I had my mic off on. And this COVID vaccine like really knocked me out. I think that's a really good idea, actually. If we can speed up that survey and do it efficiently, but let's try to get a meeting with the mayor just to have some set deadlines, mayor, and a set deadline for a survey. I don't know how we're going to send out a survey, what that entails, who has experience with sending that out, or is that something that us as a human rights board we do, or through the city? That's another thing. I don't know.
That was also meant to be on the agenda tonight, was the survey content so that we could approve it, and it's not here. So we don't have the survey to approve, and we can't approve it as a group outside of the open session.
Correct.
So I don't know how we design a survey and approve a survey that we can all start to send out before another meeting.
Here's what you can do. Approve that the committee have autonomy on sending out the survey. A research committee on the research committee.
Wouldn't other members like to know what's on the survey before you send it out to your contacts? I would.
Okay.
I mean, the committee was supposed to bring a draft today, right? And it's okay. I mean, stuff happens, totally. I'm way behind on everything, and you know, we're a new group together, and it didn't happen, and it's no shade, but that's the process. We have to get something drafted, bring it to the group, and approve it before we can send it out, and that has to be in an open session. So we can call a special meeting. I'm okay with that.
Call
We
for a
can
special meeting.
meeting to approve the survey, but that still means the committee drafting the survey has to get it done before the special meeting. Member Trujillo.
Yes, so with regards to the survey, so I don't know personally, so my question would be, is this going to be one survey or would it be two separate issues? Because the survey that board member Pierre and I were working on, that's more a comprehensive survey from our board. And so this would be us, I think personally that this would be a separate survey to just specifically for that paid position. And so we were going to present it, our survey, this, you know, have something, because it's pretty simple. You know, we thought maybe 4 or 5 questions in alignment to our ordinance. And we actually postponed that because of how much we had to cover on this agenda. We postponed that till to our next board meeting. So for our committee collective comprehensive survey, that won't be viewed and approved until next board meeting. And so it seems like there's an urgency right now to have this piece of the, you know, the paid position survey.
I want
So I
to say
think they're two
that
separate things.
I see them as inextricably intertwined, because that survey is asking the community what they think this board should be doing. And then to me, very much intertwined with that question is, does this board, apart from all the other boards, including the disability board and everybody else, do we need paid staff to accomplish those goals? So to me, we're asking the community kind of what should the direction be here in terms of what activities we're undertaking, and then what is their assessment of the question, whether we need additional help to do that, you know? So
Right, and
think it's another question on the same survey.
Right, I agree with that. I think that it should be part of the survey collectively, because it will definitely help us do our, moving forward, our work, just gearing our work moving forward. So I agree with that. So then this discussion would then go to, we'd have to do the entire survey. It wouldn't be separate and apart. It would totally be one a collective survey that we would need to do
Right.
ASAP. And it can be done, but it's just, what does that look like?
Exactly. So if y'all are close to having a draft, then we could call a special meeting just to look at the survey, approve it, and then start sending it out with a deadline for, responses. And I don't mind doing that. I can find some time in the next week or so to do another evening meeting just to look at the survey. If we're, but I don't want to put that pressure on y'all if you're not far down the path with a draft. I don't want it to be this, super high pressure thing for y'all to come up with the survey. But I agree that the survey is relatively simple. We're just trying to say, where do you think we should be going? The survey only has to have a little guidance for the reader about what's in the ordinance, essentially, right? As Member Pierre was saying, kind of listing what we are empowered to do. And from there, what do they think we should do? And then is there a need for a budget based on that, right? Based on that direction. So I don't know, do y'all feel like we can get together in the next week to look at a survey draft? Do you need an addition? Can we have 3 or only 2? Brian?
Are you asking
Can 3 people work on the draft of the survey together, or it has to be less than 3?
It would have to be less than a quorum. So it would be less than 3. So whoever is on the subcommittee to work on it can work, would be able to work on. Now that they can reach out individually and communicate one-on-one with other individuals while they're developing it. But we wouldn't want a rolling quorum where send you an email, then you forward that email to someone else, and then someone else. It would have to be a one-on-one, one-off communication, if that makes sense.
Exactly. But our subcommittees, I think, can be 3 in number.
Yeah. So Tori, yeah, it would be so less than 4. So I believe our quorum is 4. So I believe 3 would be all right if I have the quorum correct.
That's right. So Member Trujillo and Member Pierre were already working on this together. And do you want a 3rd person to help you try to hammer it out before we do a special meeting? Would that be helpful? Okay. Of the remaining,
I can help.
okay. But okay. All right, great.
So Chair Lawyer, what I would recommend is if we currently have 2 people on the board or on the on that right now, I would say probably our best option would be to have a motion to add an additional person to the subcommittee.
Okay, great.
So that we can officially have the other thing I wanted to just throw in there from a legal perspective too. I know it was discussed having a meeting with the mayor or requesting a meeting with the mayor. The one thing I want to make sure it's understood though is the board cannot meet with the mayor outside of a public meeting. If the board wanted to meet with the mayor, they would need to request that the mayor attend one of the meetings and go through that process of requesting him to attend and participate in one of the meetings. If an individual wanted to reach out to discuss concerns about anything, that would be different. But again, it would have to not be a quorum. It would have to be an individual one-off meeting, not as a board.
Thank
Okay, even the committee cannot meet with the mayor on their own?
No, because it would potentially violate the Open Meetings Act if there's discussions of any kind of policy outside of the public view.
Okay, I can reach out to him privately as an individual, but I want to go back to the committee. This is the research committee.
No, we haven't reformed our subcommittee since this enormous sort of turnover in the membership. So
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
that's what I was
my,
gonna-
yeah.
we're revisiting the committee structures and content based on the outcome of the survey. So we're trying to run the survey with the community so that we can see where the need is and where our direction should be, and then reform subcommittees based on the strategic plan essentially that comes from the survey results, right? So that was the idea. The
Okay, the
existing
committee doing
subcommittees
the
don't
research.
exist.
The committee doing the research is who?
It's really
I mean,
the survey
the
committee.
the survey.
The survey committee is member Trujillo and member Pierre.
So it's just the survey committee, or is it
That's
part of
all
the
it is
research
right
committee?
now. No, there's no committees. The only committee
Does
is the survey committee.
Because I was part of the research committee.
I
That's
know,
so
but there are, those committees don't exist anymore. We talked about this at our last meeting, which I know
I
you
wasn't there.
weren't able to
I
be
wasn't there.
here, but
Okay, I wasn't.
because
there.
everything changed and we're gonna do the survey to seek out community input on what our direction should be, that's gonna dictate our subcommittees to us.
Oh,
So we didn't just keep with the ones that existed when they didn't necessarily make sense to this group. So the committee is the survey committee. It's an ad hoc committee, really.
Yeah, and that's why I was recommending if we're adding additional people and it's becoming more of a formal subcommittee at this point, what I would recommend is the motion to essentially create the subcommittee to add the members formally to it.
Yeah, okay. And remember, I said you want to help with the survey, right? Or no?
yes, that's fine.
Okay. Or I mean, member Rivera, were you interested or not? Not in that? No. Okay. All right, great. So let's have a motion, I guess, to create a survey subcommittee with 3 members. So can somebody make that motion?
So moved.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, great. And so from the discussion, we're going to go forward with knowing that the 3 new subcommittee members are member Pierre, member Trujillo, and member Assad.
Yeah, what I would recommend is just a motion to, I think it can all be done as one, because doesn't necessarily need to be a vote, but a motion to name those 3 individuals as the members of the subcommittee.
Okay, I move to name members Pierre, Trujillo, and Assad as the members of the newly formed survey subcommittee. We have a second to that.
Second.
Any opposition? All right, hearing none, the motion is passed. Great. Okay, so now it would probably actually be a good time to set the special meeting while we're all here, and that way they can get it published, however our staffers need to do that. So let's look, we have to at least be, I think, 3 or 4 days out from today for the IPRA, right? Something like that.
Correct.
Okay. So that would be probably the easiest thing would be Monday, I bet. For me on Monday of next week, I couldn't do it until 6:30. I couldn't start until 6:30. If not that, we could do Tuesday for sure. And I think I could start at 5 on Tuesday.
I
So-
can do 5. I cannot do 6:30. It's the holy month of Ramadan, and I'd be cooking around that time. It's
Got
almost
it.
breaking fast time.
How about 5 on Tuesday of next week?
That will work.
Tuesday the 27th, 5 p.m. No, member Rivera can't do it. Okay. I know we can't doodle. We're on the thing here together. What about? I mean, Sunday of this week. I know, but I mean, we're just starting to get further and further out. We can't do it before Friday, really. I don't know. Somebody, let's hear some suggestions. Yeah, go ahead, Member Pierre.
Can we do it on Friday or do we need more time?
Well, I cannot, but I am okay with, you know, if people need to move forward and approve the survey, I will try to trust the majority.
Is
Member
that,
Pierre?
but is that within the 4?
I think so. I think it's something like 72 hour. I don't know. It's
Okay.
No.
But what about next Wednesday?
I'm available next Wednesday at 5
I am.
o'clock.
everyone is available Wednesday at 5. All right.
So, this is Tori. Miss Velarde has a conflict Wednesday at 5, I believe, and she's the one who provides our webinar access.
Right. Okay.
When is she available on Wednesday?
I'll allow her to speak for herself.
Thank you.
Before 5:30.
So if we did it at 4:30, are we available? It should be quick.
It should be quick. I agree.
I
I could
can
do
do 4.
4:30. I could do 4:30 on Wednesday.
Let's make it.
And we could just cap it at 30 minutes so that we don't hold Crystal up, because that's not right
Yes,
if we know that. So we
we
can
love Crystal.
4:30 to 5, and the only agenda item is the discussion and vote on the survey approval. Okay, great. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, super. Yes, Member Pierre.
So I have a question, like procedurally, do we, after we work on the survey, do we send it out to everyone or do we just send it to Crystal and then I don't really know how we get the survey to you guys so that maybe you can look over it prior to the meeting, or
I think what we have typically done is send things to Crystal, who sends them to the group. And then we can't have like any we can't start to create a rolling quorum in an email thread. So we just would receive it to review it and then talk about it at the meeting. So
Okay.
I think just send the draft to Crystal, who can send it out to us. Is that right, y'all? Or can we just send stuff to each other? I mean, that's the whole thing.
What I would recommend is send it through Crystal and have
Okay, great.
Crystal
Great.
added to the agenda. If Crystal, if you had any suggestions beyond that, but I believe that'd be the best option.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, I think that's the way we've always kind of handled it in the past, and it seems to work fairly well.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, great. Well, that sounds great. So we'll leave it to the committee to schedule time that they can work together or even email together, which is fine in the committee. All right. Okay. So is there any last thoughts or questions or ideas about any of this that's been brought up?
I'm good. I would like the contact numbers or email contacts from Miss Crystal, if you can introduce us in an email thread. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I will
Thank you.
send that out.
I appreciate you so much, Crystal. Thank you.
Of course.
I know it. Where would we be without Crystal? All right.
Absolutely.
So I think now is when we need to go into a closed session to talk about those reports.
Real quick, Chair Lawyer. I don't believe there was ever a motion put out there to move for a special session.
Oh, I didn't know we had to. I'm sorry. Okay, can we get a motion for the special meeting? And now we have the time and date, so we can just put it in the motion. Anybody?
I motion for a special session on Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Next Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. And the 27th, I believe it is, or the 28th, excuse me, the 28th.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Terrific. And any opposition? All right, hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, and now we need to move into the closed session. So then I make a motion for that, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you make a motion to move into the executive session.
Okay.
Session.
And then we vote on that motion.
Yeah, it can be seconded and then can be approved after that.
Okay, super. All right, I move that the board moves into executive session to hear the reports from the Director of the Office of Civil Rights. Can we get a
And is
second?
there a second?
Second.
Any opposition? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Just use the links that y'all have to go into the other Zoom meeting now. Okay, thanks.
And I don't know if you wanted me to be part of it. I would recommend that I be part of it, but it's up to you. But I don't have a link, so if
I'll
somebody
send
might
it.
be able to afford that.
Well, I don't hear who has Brian's contact. I don't think I
I
have.
can send it to you, Brian.
Super.
Okay, great. Thanks, Crystal.
All right, we'll see y'all there. Thank you.
Okay, board chair, lawyer, which link is that we're using? I'm
They
sorry.
sent it out to us. Hang on.
Oh, okay, so we should have it.
We should
It's
have
on
it.
your Zoom link
It's the
that would have been
document
sent out on Friday.
Okay,
Zoom
all right.
meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Are you all not finding your links?
You know, no, I
No.
looked and two of them came up, so it's the same one.
Yeah, Crystal, I saw your email, Crystal, but it says the closed Zoom link will be used to discuss, okay, the next. And
Okay,
I
we're in the live session and it's still recording.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Oh my
Give me
God.
1 second and I will go ahead and resend you. I sent you guys an email. You should have received it. And it's just the ID and the passcode. Did you not get your link, Ms. Trujillo?
No, it's not letting me sign in. I don't know what is going on. I have the ID and the PC code, passcode, but sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, I will figure it out.
Samia, we need you back in the closed session.
We'll give Member Trujillo just a sec to reconnect.
She came back as a non-panelist. I'll switch her over. Just give me a sec.
Okay. Okay. Okay, terrific. So this is Chair Adrian Lawyer, the Albuquerque Human Rights Board. We're returning from executive session. In the executive session, we discussed the investigations of matters number 20-008 and 20-009. I am moving that we hold over the vote on the outcome of matter 20-008 until the May meeting. Can I have a second?
I'll second. Denisha Pierre, Member Pierre.
Terrific. And a roll call vote on that motion. Member Assed,
Aye.
Member Trujillo,
Aye.
Member Rivera,
Aye.
and I'm aye. So that motion passes unanimously. On matter 20-009, I move that we accept the office's findings of no probable cause.
A member Denisha Pierre, and I'll second.
Roll call vote. Member Assed,
Aye.
Member Trujillo,
Aye.
Member Rivera,
Abstain.
Member Pierre,
Aye.
and I from me, Chair Lawyer. The motion passes unanimously with one abstention. All right. Is there any remaining business or announcements before we adjourn?
Real quick, Adrian, we just need to do the revote for the
Chair,
vice
thank
chair.
you. Okay. All right. Okay. So we had a procedural snafu from the last meeting. So I move that we vote on the vice chair position with Member Rivera nominated in that position. Can I get a second?
Member Pierre, I'll second.
Roll call vote. Member Assed,
Aye.
Member Trujillo,
Aye.
Member Rivera,
Abstain.
Member Pierre,
Aye.
and I from me, Chair Lawyer. Okay. The motion passes unanimously with one abstention. Okay, Brian, am I out of the woods?
Yep, we're good on that. And just for the record, just want to say that the motion to nominate the vice chair, the position of vice chair, the individual, that was done at the previous meeting, so we're good on that.
Okay, good. Thank you for putting that in the minutes. All right, any further business? All right, the meeting's adjourned. Thanks. We'll see y'all next week for the special meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.